Hello, Bible readers. It's Monday, June 7th. We're reading from Daniel chapters 6 through 8 and 2 Thessalonians chapters, well, all of them, 1 to 3. Daniel 6, we've got Daniel in the lion's den, maybe the most famous story in the book of Daniel. Imprisonment occurs a lot in texts that are addressing exile. It's a good metaphor for what's happening and what God might be up to, so makes sense. It's a motif, you could say, that helps communicate where God is in such a moment as exile, and so we get a lot of imprisonment kind of stories. Gandhi, the Indian guru of nonviolent political resistance, found great inspiration from Daniel chapter 6. He called Daniel one of the greatest passive resistors that ever lived. Okay. Chapter 7, visions of change. Maybe instead of calling it a vision of change, we could call it a dream of change. We move from the king's dreams to Daniel's. Visions become like a repository of possibilities beyond the current reality. You know, you can fill a vision with all kinds of imagined possibilities. What could be, let me tell you. And so that's what makes a vision or a dream a really good vehicle for a person like Daniel trying to communicate how to get through this moment. Chapter 7, dream of change. Chapter 8 is a vision of a ram and a goat. So two things we would look at more closely if we were studying and not just reading. We think that Daniel is using metaphorical imagery to speak of political realities, not particular personalities necessarily. It's not like the goat stands for the Roman emperor and the ram stands, that's not how it is. But instead, that power types are being represented by different animals and how they behave with each other. People in power typically act certain ways. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, that kind of thing. The other thing is, the question that we would ask if we were Bible studying is, do we limit Daniel's vision to its present, or is it meant to be a reflection on forever, outside of Daniel's times? The message, of course, of Daniel is that the powers of evil are not going to last forever. So perhaps it is helpful to read it into 2021 and beyond. 2 Thessalonians, not written by Paul. First Thessalonians was, not this one. This letter tries to get believers to steer clear of false teachings. A familiar theme. We've heard this a number of times now. There's also a big emphasis in 2 Thessalonians on the day of the Lord. And this becomes a phrase for this letter and really those who point at this letter to be some kind of a guide into now as we look for, is today the day of the, when is the day of the Lord going to happen? Some people were saying then that day had already come. And the author of 2 Thessalonians is saying, stand firm. That's wrong. I know you're being persecuted. In 2 Thessalonians, obviously the people are being persecuted more than they have been before. It's not easy being Christian. So it's a letter of encouragement. But basically what it's saying is don't panic. Don't believe whatever you simply want to hear when people come around saying, oh, it's the day of the Lord. Just keep on loving one another, and that will be enough to get us through. I am one with my God. My God is with us, all of us, at all times and in all places.